Welcome to a journey through history, where human perseverance meets the relentless force of water. Here, we tell stories of disasters transformed by ingenuity and unity, from the devastation of floods to the triumphs of engineering. If you find these tales moving or inspiring, please remember to like and subscribe. Every gesture helps keep stories like these alive, bringing history and hope to life for more people. In this episode, we dive into the night the Netherlands faced its greatest threat, 1953 North Sea flood. You will experience the terror and heartbreak as waves breached the dikes, leaving destruction and loss in their wake, and follow a nation's resolve to fight back. This is not only a story of tragedy, but of ingenuity and the indomitable spirit that changed the fate of an entire country. Chapter 1. The Flood of 1953. Disaster and Loss. Imagine a cold, blustery night on the Dutch coast. As midnight approaches, the wind rages and heavy rain lashes against the land. People sleep, unaware. Suddenly, dike steered and weaken edge of way. Black waves surge into villages, rushing down silent streets, swallowing fields and homes. In that instant, normal life disappears, replaced by chaos and confusion. The disaster unfolds with terrifying speed. Sirens pierce the darkness, cutting through the howl of the storm. Families awaken to water rising at their doors. Parents clutch children, frantically searching for higher ground. Some scramble onto rooftops, others cling to floating debris. The night air is thick with fear and helpless shouts. Each moment stretches, heavy and uncertain, as neighbours reach for one another, some making desperate choices in the face of nature's power. Every heart beats fast with dread. Through the violent darkness, courageous individuals emerge. Lifeboats and makeshift rafts drift between ruined houses. Volunteers risk everything to pull strangers to safety. Scenes of bravery play out alongside heartbreak. People embrace in tears, unsure if loved ones will be found. The flood turns streets into rivers and farms into empty lakes. Yet above the fear and confusion, acts of kindness and sacrifice shine like brief guiding stars through the storm. As night gives way to dawn, silence settles along the coast. The water lies still, an ominous mirror reflecting the devastation. Houses lean askew, swept from their foundations. Barns and fields are submerged, only rooftops peeking above the flood. Across the land, families search for each other, calling names into the quiet morning. Grief and shock hang in the air as survivors survey a world changed overnight, each step heavy with loss and disbelief. Personal stories linger: families separated, homes lost, memories washed out to sea. The pain is fresh, a mother clutching a photograph salvaged from the ruins, a child searching for a missing sibling. Communities assemble in churches and halls, banding together in mourning. Tears mix with whispered prayers and promises that the victims will not be forgotten. Even in heartbreak, the seeds of unity and resilience begin to sprout beneath the sorrow. But amidst the grief, something begins to shift. The devastation binds survivors together. Leaders, engineers and neighbours stand shoulder to shoulder, determined not to let such a tragedy happen again. Sorrow slowly transforms into purpose. As the waters recede, resolve grows stronger. These first painful steps lay the foundation for a new kind of hope that will drive a nation to rise, rebuild and defend itself from the relentless sea. Rebuild and defend itself from the relentless sea. Chapter 2. A Nation Responds. Planning the Impossible. In the wake of devastation, the Netherlands finds itself at a crossroads. The pain of loss lingers in every village, yet a quiet strength begins to grow. People gather in packed halls, sharing memories and fierce determination. Out of grief, a powerful question emerges. How do we make sure this never happens again? The first stirrings of unity pulse through the land. Engineers sketch blueprints under flickering lamps, while neighbours give voice to hope and fear alike. Politicians, scientists, and everyday citizens sit side by side across long wooden tables, debating, sometimes arguing, always driven by shared purpose. The impossible is spoken to control the sea. Yet, as ideas form, so too does solidarity. The Dutch spirit, battered but unbroken, begins to chart a daring course forward. By candlelight, families listen to town updates as news spreads of spirited planning sessions stretching deep into the night. Farms and islands, once fractured communities, now unite with a singular goal. In workshops, early models of embankments and barriers take shape, some scoffed at as fantasy. Still, the laughter of disbelief is joined by voices urging imagination, if not now, when? The gathering storm of ideas grows louder. The memory of searing loss is transformed into resolve. Across the land, chalkboards fill with sketches and calculations, maps marked with routes for new dikes and mighty barriers. Students and elders alike lend their hands, pooling wisdom from every corner. Humbled by disaster but inspired by each other, they begin to dream of reshaping their future. The words never again become more than a promise. They kindle action. Evenings in the Netherlands now bustle with energy and debate. Over bitter coffee and bread, the boundaries between expert and neighbour blur. Arguments over cost and risk echo through meeting halls, yet hope proves contagious. One by one, doubts give way to determination. The impossible gradually seems possible if they stand together. These moments of collaboration, lit by lanterns and resolve, mark the first real steps toward legendary change. On lonely islands, the tides once spelled isolation and anxiety. Now, bridges of trust stretch across waterways as communities share knowledge and resources. Children hear their parents talk of new plans and bold barriers, sensing the weight of history shift just slightly. Engineers meet fishermen, teachers consult with foremen. The vision of defending the Netherlands from water is no longer just a schemit, is a shared mission. Drafts for colossal structures fill desks and walls, each proposal met with scrutiny, wonder and challenge. Newspapers coin phrases like engineering marvel, while skeptics whisper doubts. Yet, the nation's resolve only grows stronger. Teams of planners work through exhaustion, knowing what is at stake. To the world, their ambition looks impossible, but among the Dutch, a stubborn hope takes root, a unity born of hardship. In this crucible of hope and determination, the seeds of the Delta Works are sown. What began as sketches in crowded rooms evolves into a collective vow: never again shall the waters bring such sorrow. As the last candles burn low, one era ends and another begins, shaped by ingenuity and unity. The nation stands ready, together at the edge of possibility, prepared to defy the sea and fate itself. Chapter 3: Engineering. The Delta Building Protection. High above the sprawling construction site, the air is alive with the whir of cranes and the distant roar of machinery. Giant slabs of concrete swing overhead, finding their place in the skeleton of a future storm barrier. Men and women in bright orange vests move with practiced urgency, guiding steel and stone into place, forging a line of defence where land meets water. By dawn, the workers are already deep into their routines, sweat beading under their helmets despite the cool wind sweeping in from the sea. Each dike they raise, every sluice they assemble, carries the weight of history and hope. The immense scale of the Delta Works is humbling, a testament to determination and teamwork, as ambition fuses with necessity, and every hand plays its part. With every foundation poured, the spirit of innovation pulses through the ground. Engineers study blueprints while surveyors mark angles and grades. Across the site, massive storm surge barriers begin to take shape, their curved backs like the arched shoulders of giants ready to shield the land from the sea's fury. Failure is not an option on every calculation, and every bolt matters. The winds challenge every action, whipping through scaffolding and rattling cables. Yet the teams press on, choreographing monumental tasks that would have once seemed impossible. The noise of progress rings in every direction, hammers on steel, trucks reversing, radios crackling with instructions. These moments blend together, fueled by the shared belief that protection is both possible and necessary. As days blur into nights, the barriers themselves appear to grow, inch by inch, rising from the sand like the backbone of a new world. Under temporary floodlights, concrete is poured and shaped, seams carefully checked for strength. Each structure must withstand the unimaginable, bearing the hopes of families and farmers, scientists and sailors, for generations to come. Risk is a constant companion: unexpected tides, sudden storms, the toll of exhaustion. Still, the Delta Works advance, challenging both nature and human limitation. Workers pause for breath, gazing over muddy waters that once claimed lives. It is their sweat and resolve, as much as the machinery, that carves a future where tragedy will not repeat. Progress is measured not just in meters of concrete, but in moments of unity, shared meals, careful encouragement, the silent nod between colleagues after a difficult lift. The Delta Works embody the power of collective determination. Ingenuity blossoms from necessity, as new tools and new methods are born from the challenges beneath their boots and behind every drawn line. When the last barrier segment slides into place, a hush falls across the site. What began as sketches and dreams stands firm against the horizon, a defiant answer to the sea's relentless challenge. Through back-breaking labour and bold vision, the coastline is forever altered. Where uncertainty once ruled, the Delta Works forge a new promise. The future here belongs not to the waves, but to those who dare to build. Chapter 4. Innovation and Science, Testing and Technology. In sprawling laboratories across the Netherlands, the future of water defence takes shape. Here, innovation is never still. Engineers in crisp white coats gather around glittering test benches, their eyes fixed on swirling models of water gates and labyrinthine channels. Every ripple in the scaled-down rivers hints at unseen possibilities, each surge of water an experiment that edges the country closer. The work in these labs is painstaking and relentless. Every new design is tirelessly tested. Miniaturized flood barriers collapse dramatically under simulated storms, only for adjustments to be made, lessons absorbed, and the experiment run again. Failure is not defeat here, it is the fertile ground where genius takes root. In this dynamic space, setbacks are moments of discovery, guiding the hands and minds that transform ideas into barrier walls and intricate control systems. Beyond the roar of water and hum of machinery, another world comes to life, the digital frontier. In control rooms awash in orange glow, computer screens flicker with simulated storms. Math and code merge with practical intelligence as digital winds whip virtual waves across pixelated dikes and moving gates. Here, predictions become protection. Data guides steel and concrete, providing the Dutch with foresight against the unpredictable rhythms of the North Sea. It was never easy. The path of innovation demands both courage and caution. Bold ideas must earn trust through rigorous trials. Teams of scientists debate, rework and refine every apparatus, knowing that the next breakthrough might arrive from a failed test or a humble suggestion. The Delta Works are not the creation of a single era or inventor, but the sum of countless visions, each woven together by a national resolve to tame the water. Inspiration moves between generations. Young apprentices watch veteran engineers puzzle over results, their own curiosity fueling fierce determination. Every error is recorded, every lesson shared, and with each cycle of testing comes greater wisdom. Innovation here is built slowly, yet relentlessly, with each wave met and understood, and each structure improved. In the Delta Labs, knowledge flows like water, gathering momentum one discovery at a time. But the science does not stop at physical models. Dutch innovators are restless, pushing boundaries with new materials and pioneering technologies. Self-healing concrete, corrosion-resistant alloys, and automated sensor arrays gradually enter the scientists' arsenal, promising resilient lines of defense. With every new addition, hope grows stronger. Each invention is shaped by necessity and tempered by experience a testament to the Dutch experience. Every challenge the team faces reveals not just technical problems, but new ways to look at the world and its threats. They study tidal cycles as if deciphering a secret code. Equations map the hidden power in every gust of wind. By blending creativity with painstaking analysis, they transform seas of uncertainty into opportunities. The scientists and engineers know every ounce of understanding can mean the difference between devastation and safety. At the heart of this chapter beats relentless curiosity, a belief that no obstacle is immovable. Laboratories pulse with hope and nerves. Each innovation is more than a technical triumph. It is a promise forged between generations, an assurance that even in the shadow of past disasters, courage and collective ingenuity will build a safer tomorrow. Here, science itself becomes both shield and beacon, guiding a nation forward. Chapter 5: Global Recognition: Sharing Dutch Expertise. As the tides receded and the concrete giants of the Delta Works rose, the world's eyes turned to the Netherlands. Soon, engineers, journalists and curious minds flocked from far and wide, eager to witness this union of ingenuity and endurance. The Delta Works was no longer just a safeguard for the Dutch. It had become a symbol of humanity's ability to overcome nature's fiercest challenges together. Embassies across the globe buzzed with new energy. Dutch representatives took to the world stage, presenting the tale of their triumph at renowned fairs and international symposiums. Every conversation was alive with curiosity and admiration. The Netherlands became a beacon for nations seeking hope against the menace of rising seas, a living testament to perseverance and the brilliance of shared hard-earned knowledge. Within halls lined with maps and models, Dutch engineers explained in detail how massive floodgates held back destructive waters. Diagrams, blueprints and animated retellings brought to life the Herculean effort it took to transform vision into reality. Each visitor, whether a scholar or a skeptic, departed with a new sense of what was possible when a nation rallied together in the face of adversity. Scenes of camaraderie played out as international students and professionals walked along dikes and stood atop dazzling sea barriers. Animated by awe and inspired by resilience, they asked questions and listened closely, gathering insights to carry home. These exchanges, spirited yet humble, painted the Netherlands not as a lone hero, but as a mentor willing to lift others by sharing the wisdom paid for with hardship. Journalists chronicled these moments for the world, their words and photographs echoing far beyond the polders. Headlines announced the Dutch triumph with reverence, while detailed reports sparked conversations in distant, flood-prone cities. The Delta Works, once a local endeavour, now belonged to the tapestry of global engineering, its lessons open to all who sought to defend their homes. In those spirited gatherings, ideas bloomed. Discussions of tide, time and technique leapt across language barriers. Engineers from Bangladesh and New Orleans, from Venice and Tokyo, shared their own stories and challenges. They left inspired to adapt and innovate in their homelands, grateful for the Dutch example, and eager to forge new bonds of cooperation shaped by mutual vulnerability and hope. As accolades grew, Dutch humility stayed firm. Every new friend and every international visitor was welcomed with pride that was touched by modesty. For behind each moment of recognition was the memory of tragedy, a reminder that greatness was not born from glory alone, but from the difficult unity demanded by disaster. Shared achievement became a celebration, not just of engineering, but of compassion and resilience. In the glow of global attention, the spirit that built the Delta Works spread outward like ripples on water. Stories exchanged, advice given freely, and hands shaken across borders these formed a legacy greater than steel or stone. The world learned from the Netherlands, and, together, began daring to dream. that against even the mightiest forces, humanity is strongest when united in hope, wisdom and action. Chapter 6. Adapting to Climate Change. Lessons for the Future. As the world's climate grows ever more unpredictable, the Dutch find themselves once again at a crossroads. Rising seas threaten the coastline, and furious storms test every barrier. But these challenges spark something deeper than fear, a powerful determination to adapt, to learn, and to thrive despite uncertainty. The story now shifts to the promise of ingenuity meeting the weight of the unknown. The Delta Works, once seen as a final shield, are now part of an evolving strategy. Dutch scientists, engineers, and community leaders gather regularly, no longer simply defenders, but architects for a shifting world. They recognise that the oceans are never truly tamed. Hope now lies in flexibility, not just in steel and concrete, but in minds willing to rethink what safety means when the future cannot be perfectly predicted. Flood defences grow more dynamic. Movable barriers and adjustable tide gates become everyday guardians. Canals widen, floodplains breathe. Instead of fighting water at every turn, cities begin to make room for it, accepting that sometimes resilience requires surrender. Adaptability becomes heroism. The Dutch embrace this new philosophy, inspired by the same spirit that built the Delta Works, determined that the next chapter will not be written in tragedy. Communities gather in brightly lit halls, discussing storms and rising tides as neighbours rather than victims. At these meetings, innovation springs from collaboration. Architects present floating homes, biologists share plans for restoring ancient wetlands, and planners propose parks that can flood without fear. The urgency is real, but hope is louder. Every voice matters, forging new bonds between people, water and land, a lesson carried forward from each hard-won victory over the sea. In fields and city canals, restoration teams plant reeds and willows, building living barriers that bend but do not break. Wetland sonts drain air reborn to slow floodwaters and cradle wildlife. These green fortresses complement the steel giants guarding the coast. Nature and technology walk side by side, both defending and enriching the land. What once was a source of disaster now inspires regeneration, making vulnerability a starting point for hope. Floating neighbourhoods rise along the waters, edge of sturdy homes anchored for safety, yet able to sway with each surge. Schools teach children how to read flood maps and rescue each other, weaving preparedness into everyday life. The Dutch philosophy turns risk into routine creativity into protection. This new age of flexibility is heroic not for what it prevents, but for how it welcomes change, ensuring people remain not just survivors, but shapers of their destiny. The Delta Works themselves are reimagined, studied anew by today's planners. What can steel, stone and sacrifice teach us in an age where the enemy is uncertainty itself? The answer: resilience shaped by humility and innovation grounded in remembrance. Each breakthrough honours the past, yet points toward a future where adaptation is power. The sea has not been conquered, but Dutch resolve shines brightest when the challenge is greatest, There is urgency in every meeting, every blueprint, and every whispered bedtime story of storms survived. Yet, woven through the tension is the quiet confidence of a nation that has never accepted defeat. The lessons of the Delta Works evolve with each tide. In their courage, creativity and unity, the Dutch reveal a future defined not by disaster, but by their unwavering promise to live with water and never be shaped by fear. Chapter 7. Legacy Safety, Built on Sacrifice. As the wind hums gently across the Dutch coast, families rest atop dikes that once stood as desperate final lines against disaster. The sea, so recently a relentless enemy, now laps quietly against the defences forged from heartbreak and hope. Here, a hard-fought peace settles in the salty air, watched by generations who know that security flows from the sacrifices made so many years ago. Memorial plaques stand solemnly along the dikes, their inscriptions weathered by time but never forgotten. These markers hold names and dates, reminders of those who paid the heaviest price in 1953 and the decades of toil that followed. Each flower carefully planted in remembrance gardens is a small act of loyalty and gratitude, honouring the determination that transformed tragedy into a foundation for safety and unity. Children run and laugh, flying bright kites against a sky once troubled with dark, stormy clouds. Their games dance above powerful flood barriers and walls, defences born from pain and scientific vision. For every joyful moment there lingers the weight of history, an unspoken understanding that comfort is a hard-won gift. The new world glimmers with hope, built on the courage of men and women unafraid to rise after loss. Old photographs capture the sombre faces of survivors and the determined eyes of engineers. These images echo the unity that shaped the Delta Works, a testament to loyalty, ingenuity, and perseverance. Survivors and builders alike walked through mud, wind, and uncertainty, bonding together to create something that would outlast their fears. Their shared resolve and innovation changed not just the landscape, but the spirit of a nation. Where once tidal waves surged unchecked, a calm strength now rises in their place. The dikes and storm surge barriers stand as monuments to human bravery and progress. The Dutch coast, guarded and serene, whispers a promise to future generations. With unity, science, and heart, no challenge is too great. The sense of vulnerability has been replaced by watchful confidence, anchored deeply in the lessons of sacrifice. Carefully tended gardens bloom on the old dike slopes, harmonizing with the steel and concrete below. Each flower tells a silent story of loss, healing, and renewal nature's way of both commemorating and continuing. The community gathers here to honour anniversaries, their unity tangible in quiet remembrance and gentle conversation. Beneath every footstep is the memory of hardship endured and lives forever changed by the sea's fury. And yet, the memory of the North Sea flood never fully fades. Sculptures and stones guide the curious and the grateful along pathways lined with history. The brilliance of technological progress glistens alongside reminders of fragility. Today, the people of the Netherlands carry a dual legacy, mindful of the past and vigilant for the future. Their defences are built not only of stone and steel, but also of respect and shared responsibility. The chapter closes with a panoramic vision, the Dutch coast glittering under a golden sky, resilient and prepared, forever watchful. Families watch the horizon, the legacy of sacrifice alive in every sturdy gate and blooming field. This is a coastline shaped by loyalty and innovation, where safety is cherished and the lessons of unity are never lost. The story continues, bound by hope and the promise that the sea will not claim victory again.